What is up, everybody? It's Mike here for the Multiverse Dungeon Podcast. Here to do a video of MJC TV, first time in a long time. And I just, before I get going, want to address a few things. I know that on our channel we have not released a video in quite a while. And the reason for that is really conflict in schedule, really, stuff going on with me, with Sean, to the point where it hasn't really come to a point where we've been able to plan things and really get stuff for YouTube, up and going. But I just want to say that that will change. Me and Sean are going to start doing more videos. Me and him will talk it out and figure out what we're going to do, when we're going to get rolling again, and hopefully get back to the way it was when we first started the show and doing it weekly and getting more videos out there for everyone. So today there's a few things that I'm going to talk about on this episode of MJC TV. More than, every video I've done by myself to this point has been all about wrestling. And I think this might be a long video. I don't know how long I'm gonna go on for, but there's a few things I want to talk about. So I'm gonna start with the downward spiral that is Monday Night Raw. This seems like a really redundant thing to talk about, but it keeps going on, and it really is upsetting because of how well SmackDown is doing. And you want Raw to be good, and I don't blame it on Raw being 3 hours. I blame it on Vince McMahon really not knowing what he's doing. Raw being 3 hours, as much as people might think that that's part of the problem, sure it is, but that's not going to change. The Raw is not going to lose that hour of revenue just to, go back to 2 hours. That's just not going to happen. But there's an easy way that they could easily fill 3 hours and still put on a good show. And I've said from the beginning of this stupid draft, which I hated from the beginning, but I've said from the beginning, SmackDown is a wrestling show, Raw is an entertainment show, and that is part of the problem. Every single week Raw comes on, they start the show with a half hour, a 15 to 25 minute promo that nobody wants. Usually it's like the person who's the champion, not this show, because the champion hasn't been on TV in over 3 months. That is also part of the problem, but I will get to that. It's either the champion, somebody in a man feud, the authority figure, and that is the problem. Very rarely, and they actually did it a couple of times in the past couple of weeks, they start the show with a match. And that is so much better. Like, when you start the show with a 25-minute promo that just does not draw the people in, no matter who it is. It's not even a particular person, it's just everybody. The first time in a long time, this past week, they had a very good opening promos because it resulted in a brawl that everybody wanted to see anyway. But they drag these long opening promos out, and it doesn't really elevate anybody, ever. And then you throw in the Cruiserweight division matches, which nobody cares about anymore. They've completely just destroyed the Cruiserweight division from what it was when they did the tournament. And then they made it into its own show, and nobody cares about it anymore at all. And it's sad because all of those guys are great talents and they deserve a lot better than what they're getting. You know, then you throw in these random matches that, again, nobody cares about. Nobody cares about Titus O'Neil at all. I understand he works there and they want to do something with everybody or whatever, but nobody cares about him one bit. So to have him doing this stupid Titus brand thing to help Apollo, which it is not, and then put him in these random matches every single week with Kalisto, who is also somebody that nobody cares about, which is, again, very sad because of how good of a talent he actually is. But he was better when he was with Sin Cara. As soon as they split them up, that was the end for those two. I understand Sin Cara has has 2 U.S. title reigns, but see how flat those went? Nobody cared when he was the U.S. champ. Sin Cara is better off in a tag team. Put him back with, Kalisto is better in a tag team. Put him back with Sin Cara. Make the Lucha Dragons relevant again. Help either tag team division. Nobody wants to see Kalisto versus Apollo Crews every week. Nobody wants to see Kalisto versus Titus O'Neil because nobody wants to see Titus O'Neil ever. He is no longer relevant. And, you know, just these random promos that really, again, don't help anyone. Just having Bray Wyatt just go off on somebody in the way that he doesn't always help. It isn't always what people want to see. And that's nothing against Bray Wyatt at all. Bray Wyatt is a great talent, and I think that he was mishandled at the end of that Randy Orton feud with that House of Horrors match, which we have spoken about before. That was not a good match, and that did not really shed good light on Bray Wyatt. Even though he won the match, it was non-titled. Randy Orton was the champion, and it was non-titled because they drafted people while they were in the middle of feuds. Why would you do that? And then you gave us that. So that did not help Bray Wyatt. And I love Bray Wyatt's promos, but to do the same thing every single week. He shows up in the ring and he talks, and then the lights go out and he disappears, and then he comes back, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. And these recycled feuds, like everything that is happening is just the same thing over and over and over again on Raw. And nobody cares. Nobody. And I am probably one of the only people, as far as I know, who thinks that everything that The Miz is doing is garbage. I am not sold. Still, to this day, I haven't been sold on The Miz in ever, really. You know, all he does is come out, he yells a lot, he points out people's flaws, which what heel doesn't, and it's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. What is so great about a guy who can barely wrestle, but he yells a lot? Tell me. Because I don't get it. And then you put him, you try to feature him as like the top heel mid-carder, and he's literally helping nobody. And then you got talents like Dean Ambrose who are being held back, and talents like Roman Reigns who are also being held back because the champion is not around. Talents like Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, who I'm very happy is in a title feud right now, but look who he's facing. The guy who's never around. The champion has not been on TV since April, and he shows up first time in a long time this week just to have a brawl, and then he leaves and doesn't come back. What kind of champion is that? Why do I care when Brock Lesnar comes back? I don't, not even a little. You know, You want me to care about... WWE wants me to care about Brock Lesnar. How am I supposed to care about him if he's never around? Don't give me that UFC shit where, oh, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, you know, and he's a prize fighter, so he fights, you know, once in a while. This isn't UFC. And I'm a fan of UFC, and I get UFC, you know, not fighting this is completely different. This is not UFC. WWE superstars come in at the last, you know, everybody else who's been champion other than Goldberg and Brock Lesnar show up every day, wrestle every day, whether they're on TV or not. And absence does not make the heart grow fonder for me, for Lesnar. Because the more he's away, the more I hate him. Lesnar should not be the champion if he's not going to be on TV. And it's as simple as that. And I'm tired of having to say that over and over and over again, because it's a fact. You want Raw to be good, you should have your champion on TV more than once every 3 months. Like, I don't understand what's so hard to grasp about that. I really don't. And another thing that is mind-boggling to me is the fact that Finn Balor is doing nothing right now. Literally nothing. They put him in the Fatal 5-Way #1 contenders match, and he took the fall, which is ridiculous to me. You know, if it should have been anybody, it should have been Bray Wyatt, because WWE doesn't care about Bray Wyatt. So why would you put the fall on somebody who has loads of potential? Loads of potential. And I just don't understand. I mean, he wins the Universal title, unfortunately gets hurt in that match, and why should he has to prove himself again? Why? You know, I don't understand. I really don't understand. And like I said, he hasn't even been on TV 2 weeks in a row now. What are you doing? And I just want to address this because I'm tired of hearing it, and I hear it everywhere. Mainly, you know, on Twitter from stupid people who say, oh, Finn Balor's a cruiserweight, he shouldn't be in the world title picture, he should be on 205 Live. First of all, anybody who says that Finn Balor should be on 205 Live is not a real wrestling fan, because Finn Balor is an amazing wrestler. And I don't care what Seth Rollins' build weight is, he's a cruiserweight also. He's a world champion. Okay? So stop calling Finn Balor a cruiserweight. Stop saying he doesn't... It's not believable that he can wrestle heavyweights, because he's wrestled heavyweights his entire career. You know, ever since coming to WWE, he has wrestled everyone. Everyone. He's probably the best all-around talent out of everybody on the entire roster, and that is not me being biased because I love Finn Balor or love the Bullet Club or anything like that. Finn Balor is a mega star in the making, and to keep him off of TV and to not have anything for him to do right now is a travesty. A complete travesty. And I just don't get it. I really don't. I don't get it at all. I don't know what is going on. And going off of that, the biggest travesty on Raw right now is without a doubt the women's division. The women's division on Raw used to be more important than anything that was happening on SmackDown or any of the way it was when they first did the draft with Charlotte and Sasha, and those two going at it for quite a while until Bayley entered the picture. Then the second draft comes around, which was horrible. They move Charlotte to the better show, which is SmackDown. Then they bring over Alexa and Mickey. And now the Raw division is in complete shambles. The Raw Women's division is the worst part of Monday Night Raw right now. And that is no fault on the champion. That is no fault on the people in it. It is completely 100% on the people writing the show and the people who are okaying the writing of the show, Vince McMahon. Alexa Bliss is a great talent. She's a great talker. She's getting a lot better in the ring, but she's still not there yet. Nia Jax is a giant who they should be building the division around and having people chase her. As much as I don't even like Nia Jax, because I don't think she's a great wrestler by any means at all. But you have a giant in the women's division who could easily be feuding with these women who are a lot smaller than her and having those people chase her. I mean, from the beginning, they haven't been treating anybody correctly on the Raw Women's division. Emma, who just came back from injury, should be winning matches, and she isn't. And then you have Sasha, who, out of all of these people, is probably the best wrestler of the people named so far. And you have her in a feud that nobody cares about with the Cruiserweights. And then you put her on the Cruiserweight show and make her wrestle Alicia Fox like 3 weeks in a row? Now, this is nothing on Alicia Fox, because Alicia Fox is a good wrestler. But nobody cares about Alicia Fox anymore, unfortunately. I'm not faulting her as a talent. I'm not faulting her as a performer in any way, shape, or form. Nobody cares about her. She has maybe like 2 or 3 fans, if any. And that's unfortunate, because like I said, she's a good wrestler. But to keep her, she was not hurt for the longest time. And she still wasn't wrestling for the longest time. So how would you expect me to keep her, like, in my, opinion of women's wrestling at all, and if you just keep her doing all this stupid stuff with the Cruiserweight division and whatever they had her doing before? Why make her not wrestle if she's not hurt? Can anybody explain that? Because I can't. And then you have these other talents, and you also have Mickie James, who's on Raw, 6-time women's champion, one of the best women's wrestlers ever. And you're treating her like she's just another talent. She should be at the top of that division. People should be wanting to wrestle Mickie James. Instead, you got her being either somebody's lackey, which was what way it was when she first came into SmackDown, and then now you just have her literally doing nothing. And then you have people like Dana Brooke, who still need to improve. I've seen a little bit of improvement from her, but not enough to be like, oh, I want to see her. And then probably the biggest travesty to come out of this entire thing is Bayley. And I'm gonna close on this topic because I've already gone way too long. I had other things I wanted to talk about. I will talk about them in other videos. But Bayley is without a doubt one of the biggest flops that WWE has mishandled. One of the biggest things that WWE has mishandled ever. Because if you go back to Bayley's NXT run and you watch everything that she did in that chasing the title, winning the title, keeping the title, and all these great matches and all these great feuds with Sasha, with Asuka, with everybody that she faced, they made her look amazing, and she looked amazing to the crowd. The crowd loved her in NXT. And then you have her come to Raw, and you treat her as if she's a little child who can't do anything on her own, who needs people's help all the time. You know, from the beginning with her feud with Charlotte, the storyline the entire time was that she can't get it done on her own. She needs Sasha's help. And just treating Bayley like she can't do things for herself. And then to have her go into this feud with Alexa Bliss and do this horrible segment where they basically shit on their own company by having somebody pay a paid actor pretend to be her friend and say that Bayley didn't care about her friend, she only cared about wrestling. Why would you ever say that when you're a company that has wrestling in it? Why? Why would you even fathom that being a good idea? And then you have Alexa Bliss in her promos, and basically every single promo, saying that Bayley couldn't do anything without her father's help. And, you know, she went on dates and her father went with her. And she went to school and her father had to go with her because she was too scared to go alone. And then pretending like that still matters. To say these things that are not true, obviously, because it's a storyline, and portray your champion or your former champion at the time this way, after she was portrayed before as a hero to literally everybody, not even just little girls and women, literally everybody. And you portray her as a helpless little kid who is not a kid, by the way, obviously. She's not helpless. You know, people have seen her NXT stuff. We're not dumb. So to portray Bayley in this way, and then to have the crowd literally just cringing every time you do something with Bayley, is not okay. Because Bayley has Trish Stratus potential as far as popularity goes. When Bayley first came to the Raw roster, she was getting bigger reactions than anybody. And now nobody cares because Vince doesn't care. And that is plainly obvious. Vince McMahon does not care. Because if he did, he would portray Bayley the way that Bayley is meant to be portrayed. As a hero to everyone. Not just women, not just little girls, but to everyone. Because you're finally taking women's wrestling seriously. If you're finally taking women's wrestling seriously, why? And again, I repeat, why are you treating the best talents in Bayley, Sasha, Emma, like they don't matter? Because I understand that Vince McMahon loves heels. I get that. But to portray your faces and, you know, among other talents, like they don't matter, does not help them or you as a promoter. It only drives people away. Raw's been down. The Raw ratings have been down every week for 7 weeks in a row. And these are all main reasons why. You want people to care about Raw, you should care about how your talent is portrayed. You want people to watch Raw and tell people that they watched it and liked it, you should portray your talent in a way that people aren't either laughing at them, cringing, or changing the channel. Make Raw matter again. Stop acting like you care when you don't. It is obvious that you don't. Because if you did, then you wouldn't treat your talent like garbage. So, like I said, I didn't plan to go long here. Kind of went off on a rant there because of how I feel about all of these talents who are being treated like garbage. And I really hope that Vince McMahon learns from this. I mean, he's not going to see this video, obviously, but he'll learn from the ratings alone that people are not watching Raw anymore. And the reason that is because Vince McMahon doesn't care about it. Doesn't care about it. So, I hope that this stuff gets turned around for the better. I mean, I'm always going to watch wrestling because I love it. But if Vince McMahon wants other people to care about wrestling, he should care about wrestling. So, like I said, guys, I had other things I wanted to talk about, but I will do those in another video at another time. So, that is it. Thanks for watching MJC TV. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody to watch our videos. When we finally bring the main show back, I hope that more people will watch and enjoy them. And thanks for listening to me talk about something that I love, which is wrestling. So that is it, guys. Thanks.